pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We always start out our meetings by introducing our board members, and we'll start off to my left.
Thank you, Marty. My name is Rich Johnson, and welcome to the Super Tuesday edition of the DRB meeting. I live in the Crabapple area.
Good evening. I'm Terry Mason. I live off Hopewell Road.
I'm Tim Bryan. I have a business in Crabapple.
I'm Marty Littleton. I live on Freemanville Road.
I'm Ed Parsons. I live on Red Road.
Tony Shepard. I live in Nettlebrook Farms.
Laura Weissong. I live in Crooked Creek.
And for a side note, call Perry Mason for legal advice.
Please, not really.
Okay. All right. I'd like for someone to make an motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion.
Wait.
Chair, we need to make one addition. We need to add a demo.
C, 5C.
Yes. 15950 Thompson Road. 5C.
I didn't think we were tearing any buildings down on Thompson Road.
Turn one down and put in one back.
All right.
We need a motion to amend the agenda.
I make a motion to amend the agenda item 5C.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good to go. All right. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve the February meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the February meeting minutes.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good to go. Okay, we get to go to the wonderful demos, and it's 5A. That is Barnes. It's 13260 Freemanville Road. Jamie Klein. I live across the street from you. From this. Pretty close.
Thank you for seeing us. We have two barns, mostly dilapidated barns on 13260 Freemanville Road that we have to demolish.
Okay. Are they of any antiquity? I mean, they're just plywood. Okay. Man, that's a good looking barn. Okay. Any questions from the board? Mm-hmm. Any questions? Yes. Bob, I couldn't see you. I'm sorry.
Generally, the board likes to know if there's any plans to put anything.
I was getting there.
We're getting there. Yep.
Okay.
What are your plans?
Plans are to subdivide, to put two other houses, build two other houses on the property.
Okay. How many acres is the property?
Little over 9.
9.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 5A, Barnes 13260 Freemanville Road as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're good to go. Which one of you is Jamie? Are you the one building the houses?
No, I am.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to build, may I ask?
We're building two houses, not large.
You mean architectural style?
Yeah, I mean, I live across the street, so therefore I have interest, but
Well, one looks just like, what do you call it, Ron's house over there on Freemanville. That big, yeah, they're, the one house looks like a farmhouse that goes on the one and the other one is a house. But I'm Steve Casey.
hey, Steve.
Yeah, and I go a little bit in that years. And the other one is just like stone and shape, one story.
Okay. I live in the yellow house across the road from you, in the Texaco sign. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I live there currently, and then they're building.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an existing house on it.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Go pull the barn down.
Great, thank you.
Wrecking ball.
No. 5B, single-family house and outbuilding at 13175 Hopewell Road. You don't look like Tommy. Do what?
Scott Reese, doing business at 13685 Highway 9, Nelson, Georgia 30004. Here tonight representing Fuquay and Associates in their application to demo the abandoned house and outbuilding, 13175 Hopewell Road. We leased on this property last year for a single-family residential subdivision, and this abandoned, dilapidated house is sitting in the proposed roadway. You guys have legible or visible pictures? So
Yes.
it should be self-explanatory.
Yes, it is.
I'm thinking we have good usable brick here.
Is it right on the city boundary? Is
You
that
know,
the city
you've got a
boundary?
hammer and a chisel.
Come get it.
Yeah, you've got a window of opportunity.
About 4
I need to
hours.
see an insurance letter before I let you on the property.
Okay. It looks pretty rough.
It is.
Okay. Can we have someone to make a motion for our friend Scott here?
Any comment?
Any comment from public or on the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item 5B, single-family house and outbuilding at 13175 Hopewell Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Scott,
very much.
see ya.
Yes.
Okay, next demo is 5C, Thompson Road.
Good evening, my name is Walter Lewis. I'm with Neighbors Home, and I'm the builder for the project at 15950 Thompson Road. The project is there's an existing single-family house there that was built in the 60s. You'll see pictures of it in the packet. The plan is to take that down to the subfloor and leave the basement area where there's a garage. And then we're going to build a new structure on top of that. The new structure is currently being worked out right now with Bob, the architect, between our architect and that. They're working on a plan to come up with something suitable for the city, but in the meantime, I still need to take the structure down, so this is just a request to remove the old building. You can see it in the pictures. It's, and all we're gonna do is take the first floor off.
So you're just going back on top of the existing footprint.
Well, the footprint will be slightly larger, there's gonna be an addition to it as well.
Okay. How many square feet's the addition?
I'm sorry,
How many square feet's the addition?
about 1,600.
Okay.
It'll just about double the size of the first floor.
Okay. Does this house have, I can see what's on the, let me see if I can find that. How far is this off the road, the existing house?
It's on the site plan. I don't know exactly how far it is back there, but as you can see, it's
There it is.
quite a ways back off the street. I would have to figure out the distance, but it's way back. You can't see the house from the street at all.
Okay.
There's trees all in front of it, aren't there?
There's trees on the property, but Mark, I forget his last name, Mark went out and looked at it, and he said there are no specimen trees. We've already applied for a tree permit to take trees down, that's in process right now. So I thought while they're working on that, I can go in and start demolition until we get the plans approved to build a new structure.
Okay. Any public comment? Any board comment? That being said, you got a comment from the city architect over there? Angela?
No, sir.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve agenda item 5C, 15950 Thompson Road, demolition.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Enjoy your day, sir.
Thank you so very much. And Angela, what do I do next to get the permit?
It's 6A and B over there on the counter.
Okay, I got it already. Let me share mine as well. Okay, we're going to start with our final reviews. First one up is Red Apple Montessori, 3505 Bethany Road. Temporary classroom. I know we got another one right after that. So. Do I?
Good evening. My name is Biju Ipe, and I'm the owner of Red Apple Montessori School. I wanted to provide some background information that you may not be aware of that might help you with your ruling on our expansion project. The Red Apple Montessori School was born out of our passion to provide superior childcare and the best value in the area for early childhood education. We serve many Milton families and other forms of surrounding communities. We started this school with no income and limited personal funds. I have worked very hard and have overcome many obstacles to secure and make my American dream a reality. Today, we have a waiting list of eager children and are rated by parents among the best preschool in Milton and Alfred area. For the past 8 to 10 years, we have provided employment to residents in the local area and consistently contributed to the city's tax revenue fund. We are proud of our achievements, especially having survived the difficult economic times. Now, we are at a point where we are ready to expand the school and become an even greater asset to the city of Milton and uphold its core standards of excellence. However, over the past few DRB sessions, we are feeling very discouraged about pursuing our dream of expanding Red Apple. Let me be very clear here. This is not because we are opposed to following the high standards of Milton's building codes and regulations. However, our frustration is primarily due to the lack of clarity in communication and constantly changing requirements related to the design of our building. Recently, I have been told by Public Works that I will have to wait to see what Fulton County is planning for the intersection. Every step along the way seems to be stop and start, resulting in further delays and significantly additional expense for me. No one has been able to tell me if and when these additional improvements will be over, making it impossible for me to forecast a budget and resulting in a delay in construction and opening of our school on time. We believe we have worked hard with the city architect to ensure everything is per the city requirements prior to the DRB review meeting. We have received verbal communication from Bob and Angela that all of our plans look good. Yet, when we were at the last DRB meeting, we were surprised when we received totally different feedback from your board. Our building plan have now been revised 4 different times, and that has tripled the budget we originally allocated for this. In conclusion, I want you to know that I'm committed to having my school looking very attractive and well landscaped. My vision is for the betterment of the Milton community in that I want to expand my business to serve the increasing needs of Milton families for education, to provide more local employment opportunities for people, and to contribute additional funds to the city business revenue. I want a win-win situation here for us and the city. As a result, I humbly request we focus our efforts in the right direction and avoid wasting more time and money. I sincerely hope that the plans you see tonight for both the new building and the portable classroom meets the high standards of what I want the school to look like and what I have been told is acceptable to the community development department. I appreciate your time and understanding of the challenges of running a small business, and I look forward to a successful outcome of our project. Thank you.
Okay. The first thing at hand is to deal with this temporary modular classroom. Bob, does this classroom meet with your?
Hey guys, I just remind and refresh the board. This was a deferral from last month. The applicant had come in with a trailer that was used, and the board thought the trailer wasn't up to the standards the city expects from all the applicants that come in with a similar request. So the applicant has come back with a new trailer. It does have grids in the windows and details. It looks a whole lot nicer than the other one was.
It's a brand new trailer?
Brand new trailer.
Okay.
So there's just a few things that I want to just concentrating on the trailer because that's the application that's before us. I just want to add that we would need this normal board requests is the steps and landings would just be stained sort of a dark color, so they just don't look like raw pressure treated lumber. A skirt around the bottom of the trailer is a very typical request from the board, and some landscaping around the base.
Bob, would you be?
Work with Mark on the landscaping and put some,
Would,
so it's not burdensome.
on that backside that's going to be high up, would you be willing to accept that they did a little bit more intensive landscaping plants they could reuse to cover up that back?
We can talk to Mark and see what
And work with Mark to come up with something?
Because it is going to be high up. The last thing that I had was that we do need a site plan that shows the location of the trailer. Because at one point he was going to have the narrow side facing the street and the long side deep into the back, which makes the back of the trailer stick out. But
Right.
the ground's right on the slope. But it would be nice, and the last request that we've spoke about as a board is request from the applicant that once the building is completed and the CO is issued, that he would remove this trailer. Because the code does allow this trailer to be there up to 3 years.
And did
The applicant was willing to say that he's leasing the trailer, not owning it, and that he'd be willing to remove the trailer within, say, 30 days of issuance of the CO or something suitable.
and how long will it take to build the building?
Once we get the permit, I mean, 6 to 7 months.
So could we put a time limit of 12 months, and that gives him 12 a year to get his building built? Or 30 days after it's got the CO?
I think-
Because if something delays them.
Right.
Right, from the, from the.
Yeah, I think 30 days after the CO is fair.
30 days from the CO, and that gives them some time. If 30 days, okay. So,
Okay.
you know, on or about 30 days, I mean, you know, we're not gonna, but it won't, he wouldn't leave it there and have them both coexistent. And I think he's agreed to that.
Yeah.
Because
I
he's
Okay.
doing it anyway,
Once the building is there, I don't want that there.
yeah.
Okay.
And we can work with the applicant as far as placing it correctly and putting in these items if you just wanna list them on your motion.
Is your intent to put it in the same location you had talked about originally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it should be
Yeah,
okay. That's fine.
same
I don't think
location.
it'd be a problem.
And would you be okay with using landscaping for your skirting, Mark Law? And that way you can reuse that landscaping somewhere else at a later time. We're not wasting money.
Remind me the need for the trailer?
The,
Temporary.
it's a temporary for him to, he's got a backlog of students that wants to go to his school, and this would allow him to start building up that student population while the building is being built. And there is, from what I understand, there is the ability for that to be that way for temporary housing. So,
The code does allow it, and just the nature of the business, if he doesn't capture the student, once the student enters a school, generally the parents like to keep the student at the school they enter. So one of his dilemmas is that he's trying to capture the students early so that they'll remain at his school longer.
right.
So I can see the need for it. The code does allow it, and he has come up and given us a new trailer.
Okay.
The
And that's-
standards that we asked for.
That's what we asked for in the beginning.
Yes.
What about the 8-foot wood privacy fence that's going to be on the west side and north side of it?
That's gonna be part of this, LDP and one of my.
Because I just don't want us to run afoul of privacy fences, because
Well,
I
one
know
of my
we,
comments on the LDP is that it needs to be detailed to make sure it meets the Highway 9 requirements. We'll look at that.
I'm sure there's public comment.
Okay.
Did you get that part right there, what they were just saying? So the fence that they want you to build in the front has to, comply with the standards the city has, so that's,
We have a fence right now, like 8 feet fence is there. They're putting behind it.
yeah, you were probably grandfathered in on that one, whatever it is.
Yeah, if he doesn't move it, we would move it.
Right, okay.
Okay. Can I,
So we need to make a motion if you'd like the board.
I was going to ask for public comment first. Is there any public comment on this mobile classroom?
We're here in support. We don't have a negative comment.
Okay, well, you're good. If you want to make a comment, you can make one, so.
Positive or negative?
Okay. Any comment from the board?
I guess if there's anything I'd like to say is I appreciate you guys going back and getting another building. We had a lot of heartache over that original building you wanted to put up there. So I appreciate you guys going back and coming up with something different. Because it just changes things completely in that area, how that looks, so.
And just as important as the look of that building is to you for your students, it's just as important to the public because, like it or not, you're going to be the pin corner for the city of Milton coming off of 400. And it's going to be really important to us how it looks and the end result. I know you feel like that we were litigious or uncooperative in terms of the way this went about, but it still came down to three-dimensional architecture of doing what we wanted to do with the city, wanted to do what the architect wants to do, and we're trying to take care of everybody in the city, not just one person. So we're trying to make everybody see this as it really should be. And we do appreciate you making the changes that have been made. So that being said, can I get a motion to approve?
Well, I had one additional comment, I guess. I think we appreciate you being a business. I run a company, so I appreciate it. And I think, our objective is really what we provide insight to you is so that your business will be successful. And believe it or not, part of that is what you build and design. It will draw more students to your facility and hopefully make you very successful. We've had those comments from many other businesses before that have launched like you, and it's been positive. So we're only trying to help you. We are not trying to hurt you. So, and we appreciate your business here. That's all I had to say. And I do have a list if you want me to go ahead and make the motion.
Okay, I'll let you make the motion.
Okay. I make the motion to approve item 6A, Red Apple Montessori, 3505 Bethany Bend, temporary classroom, with the following conditions. Condition number 1 would include steps that are dark stained on the front of the classroom, a skirt that can be landscaped, and landscaping to be approved by Mark Law, our arborist. In addition to that, the next item would be to review the site plan with Angela and Bob prior to moving forward. And then the final item would be that we would want a limitation 30 days from the CO for no longer than 12 months. Bob, did I miss anything?
Are we doing the 12 months or the 30 days?
30 days.
30 days after
Oh,
CO.
30 days after CO. I'm sorry, let me correct that. 30 days from CO. Is that everything?
That's all.
Okay,
I
good.
think it is. A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have your mobile classroom. All right. 6B, Red Apple Montessori, 3505 Bethany Road. Now we can talk about the building.
My name is Eric Ware. I live Thornbriar Road in Buchanan County. I'm representing Mr. Eppen with his designs for his building, working with CNN Architects. This building, of course, has been before you before, but it's gone through a major revision showing the details as I work with Mr. Buscemi for its proper character. Many details have been added that I think you can see on the elevations. I could go down the list. We've raised the center portion to create a more 3D look, to create a wall, and extended the roof line out so that it does protrude out from the rest of the building. Provided shed roofs for the dormers. Provided brackets, 6x6 brackets along all three gables, as well as underneath the small shed roofs that come over windows. On the side elevation, you can see small shed roofs over the doors, just to give it a little different detail from one wall to the next. I also show a set of high louvers in regard to keeping a little more traditional look. I thought I'd take off the venting off the ridge vent and put the louvers in. Still have the same architectural shingles. We have gone with a band of soldier course instead of the water table we had before, as well as a soldier course that runs along top of the wall. In the front, you'll notice that the windows have been raised. They're a little taller, so to go along with proportions of raising the center gable. You have a dark brick on bottom and a lighter brick on top. The front structure of the drive-through is to be stained and exposed timbers.
Are we going to do those out of pine or cedar?
I believe we talked about cedar.
Is that what you believe, Bob?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we need to notate that.
anyway, that pretty well describes all the details that I believe that have changed since this last time. If you recall, it's quite a different looking building now. The back is somewhat unchanged, and it's mostly you're looking at two different colored brick and the soldier course that runs all the way across underneath the windows. One thing I didn't mention, on the front elevation, the front windows on each side, the set of three windows, that has a bumped out set of brick so that it breaks the soldier course as it comes across, as you might have taken note.
Bob, did you look at brick samples?
They are the same as we presented last time, and I'm sorry, I don't have them with me, but it's a darker brown, it's an antique brick. It's not, it's a standard, it's not a queen, it's not a modular.
And what's the middle brick color?
Well, there's only two brick colors.
Right.
Dark on the bottom.
They need to tell us you're trying to stick.
Right, and what's the,
And then the top would be,
If you're looking, these people live behind.
as we presented last time, since we had to go with the darker brick.
Just enough to decide.
Yeah, we were just,
Taking the name right off, but.
yeah, we were trying to visualize what it was gonna look
Why don't we make it subject to
Brick.
Bob
Yeah.
looking at it?
What's confusing is this color emerald, really good to.
Yeah.
Right.
Getting the color tone on
So
the
it's a
water
color
is very
tone is the
difficult.
problem with it.
Right.
So what I would suggest that we do is make it subject to him bringing the actual brick to you to approve, for approval from the city architect.
Look at the roof color for color.
Yeah.
Right. I had the problem of coming from downtown this evening. I was afraid I was going to miss it, so
Yeah.
I didn't want to miss the game. So.
We didn't want to miss you.
I'll look at this color.
Okay.
It's the same as what you had last time. It's good.
Yeah.
So what we could really say is the exterior materials to be subject to architectural review.
And I do want to tell the board that this applicant has come in and spoke to me many times, and we've been going back and forth, and we've really been trying to put a lot of polish on this, and I think it's really there. It's everything the board had asked for, and I think he's done a fine job with it now. It really looks nice. It's
This
not-
is an important building to us.
From the front and the sides, so I think it's really got that three-dimensional.
The new.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, has any consideration been given to the rear of this building? I know we're trying to make, 3-dimensional views or from
Oh,
all
that's where I
sides
was
here.
going.
There's a lot of folks that are going to look at the back of this building, or at least in the winter see it. It's pretty, well, plain Jane, quite frankly. Is it worth looking at putting the existing dormers that are up on the front of the building and putting the two of them on the back on the rear, or providing some type of awning over the rear exit door, just to provide a little bit of depth to this building? Because if this is what you see as opposed to the front of it, it's not. The front's awesome. The back is not as, in my opinion.
Would you guys be willing to put a similar shed roof off the back where the back porch is?
You mean a set of dormers?
Yeah, like you've got on your other doors. On your side doors, you got the little awnings, shed awnings.
Yeah, the shed roofs.
And get like,
Shed roofs, as we,
so if we just put the shed roof and make it run the width of this.
It actually would protect the doors too.
Yeah, and it'd be good for the doors. That's where I was going.
It's just kind of basic, right?
Yeah, that's where I was going.
It'd be easy
with
to go
it.
across there.
Yeah, it'd be easier just to go across the whole width
Sure.
of it.
That would break up the roof a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about a shed roof over the deck and capture the whole deck?
Yeah, no,
That would be.
It might accidentally get a little bigger, but right now it's
Yeah.
small. It just gathers.
I think that'll just
two
break.
extra-
It'll just break up the back of it, so it's not. So that those that look at the rear of this are not just looking at a blank slate. Gives a little depth.
Indeed, hardly any neighbors can see it from the back, but as you drive down the road, you can see it. But I would really hope you'd have your eyes a little more on the road than looking at the back.
Would that be something you could live with?
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to ask for public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Just one last thing.
Okay, architect comment.
I just want to make sure the applicant addresses it, that they allow for fire access up in the front. I just want to make sure that will be incorporated.
Didn't we discuss that the last time to where we're going to move that road, make the front wider?
The site plan has had the bypass lane increased to 12 feet.
Right.
And I also have
And we talked about,
pulled the roof back so
Okay.
it's out no further than the curb.
Right.
gotcha.
Right, well, and they don't see it. In fact, even to the point of the landscape, some of you guys probably noticed, my site plan for the trailer, I do call out
There's the
landscape that had been noted by the arborist, Mark, I can't remember his name.
law.
That he had said use one species tree and of course bushes. And in regard to the landscape fencing, see, as the fence would have to track the topography of the slope there, it would fall away as it travels back in the back part of the lot anyway, so it wouldn't appear to be that as tall anyway, unless you wanted to make a variance and make it keep the same horizontal line. So that's on that drawing, you'll notice I have fence called out, tree, and shrubs along the front edge of the existing parking lot.
Can you explain, I mean, when you say new security fence, what exactly do you mean?
Of course,
It's got a chain link fence around it now, doesn't it?
well, no. He's got chain link around his existing
Right.
playground. Plastic coat, green plastic coated with green lattice is what we had in mind, if that could all be acceptable, because the school board has their own requirements for security. And that's something that at least has a sort of a neutral color and doesn't just look like metal fencing.
And the Highway 9 overlay has a specific requirement for fencing. Chain link is not allowed in that district. So what I'll do is I'll show the applicant what the code allows.
Okay. Right.
In the front, we can put privacy fence. In the back, chain link is allowed.
You can't put privacy
No.
fence.
Chain link is not allowed as a fencing material
No.
on the site. So what we have to do is, the code does allow certain fencing material. I'll show it to you. That's all what it does allow. What it doesn't allow.
That settles it.
Yeah, and the only question I have, Bob, is on the fencing too. Did they, I can't remember on the overlay, was there specific fencing requirements for schools? Because there are obviously Fulton County requirements that you have to meet as well.
That's what state said at the time.
Yeah, that's totally changed, I believe. Right, okay.
Because I understand it's a school, and he's got that fencing.
Right.
That complies with the school board.
That's, if reading some of this, I did bring a thumb drive. If it's loaded, I don't know if you guys will have it up and use it or not.
Are y'all good?
Yeah.
Okay, Angela, we're good.
Don't worry about, Angela, don't worry about it.
Fine with their drawings. Yeah.
Marty had to step away for a minute, but he wanted to know if there were any public comments. So while he stepped away for a minute, any public comments for this?
Margaret, do you want to make public comment on this?
In regards to the building,
Yes.
I don't have anything that I'm objecting to.
Okay.
Unless you feel it's necessary for me to stand up here and say, I support what they're doing. Because I think everybody knows how we feel, that's why we're here.
Okay.
I just asked for public comments. And so that was it.
All right, do we have any board comment? Okay, Laura, you take great notes, so I'm gonna let you make the motion.
All right, I think I've got it all. And then there was the fencing. Okay, is that all? Okay. All right, I will make the motion to approve Red Apple Montessori School, final on their building at 3505 Bethany Road, with the following provisions: that on the building, on the back side, there is a roof overhang that is over the deck area, and that addition just needs to be approved by Angela and Bob. Final landscape approval by Mark Law. Also, fencing design and final approval by our city architect, Bob and Angela.
It is on the drawings, by the way.
The-
The board fence.
Oh.
Speaking of fencing.
Yeah, the back
Security
fencing,
fencing.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly, just so we get the appropriate for all the county codes and everything, so, that's it.
Color.
Oh, I'm sorry, final one is, the final item is, to final approval on the brick colors by our city architect. Is that it?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Your building may start.
Here we go.
Angela, can you get us back to the agenda?
Yeah, second it,
I got it.
Did something, let me just see if I'm doing it.
6C.
Did something and I lost it.
Let's move on to 6C, which is Glenville at Arnold Mill Road, 12575 and 12570 Arnold Mill. Dean Coward.
Good evening, Board. My name is Dean Cowart. I reside at 6365 Stallion Drive in Cumming, Georgia. I have before you tonight our 12570 Arnold Mill Road project. We came before you back in November on a courtesy review, and tonight we're here for you on a final review regarding the land disturbance permit and the first set of buildings in the architecture of those buildings. We've been working diligently with staff on the LDP plans and architecture. I think we have garnered the support of staff. The landscape plan that was submitted originally in your packet, it was brought to our attention that we wanted to revisit the pond. So for your review tonight, I have some revisions. I have 9 sets. Bob's going to help me out by passing out the revisions to you. I have tonight also with me my architect, Georgia Erickson, and my engineer, Barry Etheridge. And for any questions specific to the architecture and the LDP, we'll be happy to answer those for you. You'll see what's being handed out is imagery of the modular block wall that's contemplated in the site plan. It was brought to our attention that the standard modular blocks are not viewed acceptable. This was brought to our attention as the modular block that is preferred. There's a couple of retaining walls that are shown on the site plan that we'll be utilizing those. I guess the major change that you'll see in your packet from previously is the attention to the detention pond. The pond has been substantially changed and improved. It's more like a park setting now. In fact, based on the recommendations of Bob, we felt so inclined to rotate one of our buildings so it would overlook the newly designed pond, because we feel like it's enhanced the community to a large degree.
A very nice packet.
Thank you. We've also got on our easel the exterior colors that were utilized in the packet for the various buildings that we are requesting approval for, and also this is the sample of the brick that were contemplated for the foundations and exteriors.
That will be applied to the light box border.
one of the things we had mentioned last time, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, was it just seemed like things were just right on top of the road, and there were some questions about what do they do if they expand Arnold Mill, and
That's correct. We did bring that up with Carter Richardson. His role as a transportation person. Not Carter Richardson, but
Carter Lucas.
Lucas Carter.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I've got
Carter Lucas, yes.
Sorry. We did address that with him, and we have the proper setback that he requested from Arnold Mill Road.
You did ended up adjusting it back a little bit,
Yeah.
a couple feet or something.
It looked like it.
Has been implemented, and this
Okay.
reflects all those changes.
Okay.
So they signed off by Carter, so we did the 60,000. So we made sure that we could meet all of that.
Okay, good.
I just had a question on this. So the stone wall picture that you gave us, where is that from? I'm not.
Let me zoom in on that for you. There are some walls that are incorporated around the newly designed detention pond, around the sidewalks. And there's also one that's in front of buildings, I believe 7 through 14. And then on the southeast corner, around buildings 15 through 20, there is a short wall as well.
It wouldn't be visible from the road, it would be visible from the,
Inside the
wall.
community.
Inside the community.
Okay.
We worked very hard with the applicant as far as the grades on this site. Nothing's easy, this team will do. We've really worked hard to make sure that we can get access to everything, and everything looks like it's all incorporated into the landscape. We didn't just plow and fight that, we really worked hard.
So you're still using the stone fronts are still okay.
The brick wall
Okay.
that he showed us the last time on the courtesy review is still in place.
Okay, that was my question.
And that will still create those little courts and the little
Okay.
gates.
Yeah.
each
Okay. Yeah.
that face the mountain.
Okay. Got it.
Now, we are looking at lots 1 through 3, and also approval tonight of lots 27 through 29. Work with the designer and these lots, and I will tell you, I think she's hit a home run. The designs look, I mean, we really wanted a look that is rural, because this is in the, rural portion of Milton's, comprehensive plan. And I think we've really, as far as design, I think the product is really in tune with the character area of the town plan. I think it'll be very successful for them.
I had a question on the garage doors. What is that color on there?
It's actually the rust color.
So it's rust.
Let me make sure before I speak again. Yes, so it's the raised areas actually use the trim color, and then the recessed panels has the rust color that is the same as around the windows themselves. Or actually the window frame, the actual surround is a trim color, which is the light color here.
The window sash and framings are all very,
Okay. Yeah, that color just on this diagram just looks kind of.
yeah, it always comes out darker. That's why I mean.
Yeah.
It's like.
Yeah, that's why what we did was we actually took the actual paint colors and taped them on front because it does distort in the printing process, so I wanted you to see the actual paint samples.
Can you bring that board up here? That'll might help me because there was that color, one other color that looked a little just strange to me.
I like those dark colors.
Yeah, we gotta do too.
Auburn brown, it's a real popular color for architecture right now. There's actually a lot of times you'll see it on farmhouse style used on the siding color. We're using it on the front door and the garage doors.
I like the dark color windows.
Yes.
They did that
There's a
over.
lot of detail on these buildings that,
Yeah.
bring to the board's attention. I mean, the side elevations, they all have bump outs, they have side entries, for, actually accessing, the units themselves. They have balconies in the rear, some have balconies in the front. The ones that do have decks have little piers coming down, there's overhangs over the windows and doors. I think there's just so much detail that we put into these to really give it that rural character.
Our goal was to make it so that whether we're on the front side or the rear, it still feels like it is the front of the home. Basically four-sided architecture. But really, since especially the front units that line Arnold Mill Road, they have their front entrance, or what the drivers by the community would see, is quite honestly their backyard. So we wanted to make it so that when they came home, they saw what would look to them as a front entrance as well. So we wanted to really have the sides, the rears, the fronts, all, have interest in variation in the massing so that it would be pleasing no matter whether it was a visitor driving by or for us, the homeowner.
360.
And Bob, we're just reviewing today lots 1 through 3 and 27 through 29,
Well,
correct?
no, we're reviewing for the LDP approval and those lots.
But they'll have to come back for all these each one of
Yes,
these.
that's
Okay.
correct. Which is very typical. of what-
Yeah. I know, just making sure that I have been somewhat absent, so I didn't make sure this didn't already happen. The only suggestion, and I don't necessarily have it for this one, is that I would think it would be really neat to have some of these that have a front porch that faces Arnoldville, so people can sit on that porch. And I think that these are great, so you don't need to have one on these particular. But as you look at different elevation designs moving forward, to the extent that they can have some front porches where people can sit out on facing Arnold Mill, either in the courtyard, either replacing the courtyard, or I don't know. This is my thought is that a lot of the things that we have now have that 8-foot front porch, and so to have those on the Arnold Mill side, I think would just look good and differentiate it in terms of the elevations moving forward.
So maybe alternate or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, these right here are great. I don't have any problems with these. Take that into consideration as you go forward in some of these.
What we will want to bring to you in additional reviews will be some structural options for some of the buildings. Like as an example, a building may want a screen porch. These enclosures don't actually incorporate a screen porch, so there would be a subsequent review that I want to make sure that we had your approval on for screened-in porch. But the concept that we first addressed in the courtesy review was particularly concerning those pierced walls and courtyards that were fronting Arnold Mill Road. We wanted to make sure that we had an intimate place for the occupant, but also a real strong concern for health and safety issues with an occupant that has a small pet or a small child. That if that door was to open up, they wouldn't have the concern or fear that that person was going to just wander right out into the street. And that was where we were able to get support for the warrant for the pierced wall.
I also want to bring to the board's attention, this is a good example of a townhouse community where we've only used groups of 3. So we don't have like the typical thing, where everybody comes in and tries to do 5, 6. They try to
Looks
do
good.
one. We've really worked hard. You only have groups of 3 today. And then you have access points between the units. I think it's really going to make a difference in the look and feel of this in the rural character.
I almost prefer groups of 3 versus 2 or 4 or more. I think the 3 kind of just seems to be the natural breaking point for
It'd
some
be
of
nice
these.
to see more of that if we have any other townhome type communities. I think that's a better.
The other thing that I think, just to bring to your attention, because I know you focus on it somewhat, is I think Dean and his team have really done a great job turning the detention pond into a real life community. It's a real park. It's got benches, it's got walkways, it's got architecture, it's got knee walls. I mean, it just became a real feature in the community. So it's just a whole lot. I think it's a big asset. There's a lot of things in here that I think really are very successful in this community.
I just wanted to compliment you on your presentation.
Thank you very
If
much.
these, if most of our presentations were like this, it would be a lot easier. Because it's hard to look at these things in a single dimensional view. And
I have to really pass that compliment along to my team, because they did the lion's share of the work. They did a fantastic job.
And just a little trivia, maybe Dean can just tell us quickly. He was one of the early on originators of the development of crab apple. If you want to reference that a
Oh,
little bit.
yes, that
I
was,
think that's a big thing here. I mean, he was really part of our history.
that was in my first development career life prior to the great downturn.
Yeah.
The crabapple overlay was created, and we were in the process of developing Crabapple Crossing, which fronts Broadwell Road.
right.
And during that time frame, the concept of the crabapple overlay became an idea kicked off, and they asked me to rethink my development there. And we went through, actually had gone through a zoning and were in engineering stages before we were able to get the LDP. They called and said, would you reconsider, working with us on the overlay? So about 4 years later, we got the crabapple overlay written and drafted, and we rezoned it again and re-engineered it. But
It looks good. It looks good now.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
There, have any other questions?
Looks great.
What's that?
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
Two, yeah, we're gonna do one for the site and then one for the buildings.
Would you like to lead there?
Do we have any changes?
None that I'm aware of.
All right, well then, motion to approve agenda item 6C at 12,575 and 12,570 Arnold Mill Road for the site plan as submitted, as well as the buildings as submitted.
We have to vote on them separately, I think.
Okay?
Is that right, Angela?
Please.
Okay, site plans first?
Site plans.
All right. Who's going to second? Perry did? Okay, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve agenda items 6C, 12,575 and 12,570 Arnold Mill Road, the buildings lots 1 through 3 and 27 through 29, is that right? As submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Cowart, you and your team have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I know it says the next item on your agenda is Ebenezer Road Trap, but we would like to request a deferral on this one. It's
Okay.
deferred and it's planning commission, mayor and city council.
Okay.
Trap sales. We'll keep coming back next month.
All these other ones are going to.
Do we have to make a motion on that?
Please.
Yeah. Let me make a motion to defer item 7A, Ebenezer Road Track, 745 Ebenezer Road. When are we deferring to?
Next month.
To the next meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Next one is 6B,
7B.
7B, 3103 Bailey Forest Drive. Brett Levy. Request a reduce the rear setback from 50 feet to 30 feet.
My name is actually Brent Levy.
Okay.
7770 Turner Road in Woodstock. I'm just requesting to reduce the rear line from 50 feet to 30 feet on this lot. It's a golf course lot in the manor golf country club. The way the house will be positioned on the lot, it'll effectively be the sideline. I understand how the front and rear lines are determined at plat stage, but we're going to position the house at an angle in the corner, so a small portion of the house will encroach into the 50-foot setback, which is effectively the left sideline for this house.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
Is there any reason you can't just pull that whole house forward? Is there a topography issue there?
It's a very steep topo on the front and specifically the right side of the lot that makes it, the more you pull it to the front, the more difficult that terrain would be for the driveway.
Yeah, our concern is that you have to show hardship for these variances. So help me with the hardship.
Well, it would force us to put in a driveway that's not very usable, not very safe. It's high-end custom home. I have approximate sales price of $1.8 million. And the driveway won't be very usable on the right side. Positioning in an angle like this, the HOA requests that I angle the house on the lot. It also allows us to drive, kind of traverse across the slope a little more, make the driveway a little more manageable. Plus, it takes tremendous advantage of the view of the golf course position in a house like this.
Bob, any comment?
Well, normally the board, if it thinks the variance is warranted, it would generally on the side or rear yard reduction would ask for, say, additional landscaping or screening, just to mitigate any impact that it might have on the neighbor.
Do we have an existing house next door to it? Well, I guess we
There's
do.
a house under construction, and I've given the site plan to the owner, via the builder, and they don't have any opposition to it. The small portion of the house kind of encroaches in that section. It's the side of the house. The side of the house, on their house is kind of the garage side. It's not a real usable living space. So they don't have any problem with it.
So if you took off that easternmost garage, you could basically slide the house eastward and it would fit within the setbacks.
Yes, but that would make it a two-car garage, and I actually built this same plan previously as a four-car garage. So I have reduced, I have taken one bay off the garage already. Most of the houses out there are 3 or 4 car garages.
Well, I guess,
It would get into
what about taking that garage off, extending the garage out this way, out to the right?
I'm not sure I understand.
So instead of having the extra garage down here, moving the house over, extending, take the current garage that you have.
She's saying
Make your 2-car garage a 3-car garage and
Right.
remove your 1-car garage.
Right.
Well, again, you're pushing the garage, towards the slope, the steepness of the slope. You see how the driveway kind of turns around, creates like a motorport area. So the closer we push that driveway, passing the garage towards, or what's currently labeled as Manor North Drive, it gets into that topo again. It's really steep there.
Do we have any public comment? Angela, do you have any comment?
I would just suggest when he goes to BZA to get a letter from whoever the lot is next door, confirming what she said. I mean, I think that this is a minimal impact in my opinion. That's just me.
Yeah, I guess for me, once again, unless somebody's already in the house, my issue here on doing variances is that, like we said before, I'm struggling with a hardship here because I see some other options of how to re-architect this. I mean, I'm not an architect, but just moving some things around, I think could still work. But I'm not in accordance with just offering for new construction to give a variance. I just, you kind of know what you have when you buy the lot. So you got to work within what you have on the lot, and you know what the setbacks are, so we need to work within them, and that is, I'm firm on it. That is what it is. So I'm not in agreement with it. We're just recommending, but those are my comments to go to zoning.
Any other comments?
I'm fine with it.
All right. Then you've heard
We don't vote on this.
We don't get
Yeah,
to
we don't
vote.
vote any, so it's really, you better build a better case for the BZA on why you've got a hardship and why you can't, why you can't do it differently. Because if you just say, well, it's kind of like what we like to do, BZA may shoot you down. So you better come to bat with a little bit more with the BZA.
Yeah, because it looks like the house on lot 151 would actually fit within the setbacks on this lot. I mean,
Well, that's not my plan.
yeah, I know. I know.
Well, really it comes down to that, we get accused at times that we approve everything that somebody brings up, and we have these rules for a reason, and we got to try to find, and that's why you have to use the word, we got to find the challenge. I mean, what?
Right. Well, the rear line, this effectively is not a rear line. All the other lots have, 25-foot sidelines. So, effectively I have a 50-foot sideline because of the way the house is positioned on the lot. So it's in the spirit of the plat and how the lines are drawn. My rear line is in excess of 50 feet. I'm not 50 feet from the rear of the property. So I'm just asking to be not even 25 feet, but only 30 feet from the sideline. It's only a small portion of that house.
You may want to consider suggesting that you're going to go in there and you're going to say, you need to make it a little bit more clear that the adjacent house that's the garage side of the house. They're not viewing your building that you're proposing here. It's not like a central viewpoint is one thing, and then the other part is just say, hey, we're going to put in a row of cypress or something.
We'll offer some landscaping.
Offer some landscaping.
I would certainly do that, and again, I think I can get a letter from the adjacent property owner if that's.
Is it the same builder that's doing? You're going to have the same builder on both houses, or?
No, I'm the builder on this house.
Right.
On lot 150, it's a separate, another builder on the other lot.
Okay.
And it's a sold house, he has a customer.
So it would be really valuable to have that customer, not so much the builder, but the customer.
That's what I'm proposing to bring the letter from.
Right.
Okay.
But the closer you get to that property line too, because you're sitting higher than the other house, right?
I am, and they want me to be able to cut that down as much as I can, and which I'm happy to accommodate that, because I want to lower it down as much as I can to help with the front topography.
Okay. Have a good evening, sir. Next is 13480 Hopewell Road, Lee Bates.
My name's Lee Bates. I live at 13480 Hopewell Road. And I'm requesting, as you can see, to allow an opaque fence on an exterior street. And I will read you a letter that I submitted previously. I'm writing this letter of appeal for a granted variance regarding a privacy fence I installed on my property. The fence is 6 feet tall. It's actually not 6 feet tall. It's shorter than 6 feet. And approximately 120 feet long. There are many reasons I installed this fence of this nature. The main being horse containment and security. We own and operate a horse farm. Owned and operated it since 1997. Before I began construction, I physically went to the city next door and asked one of the ladies at the planning desk if I needed a permit to construct a fence
fence on my property to contain my horses, and advised her that we were zoned Ag 1 and our working horse farm. Her reply was no. So I built a fence. She did not advise me that there were certain criteria that must be met when constructing a horse containment fence, as there are many types. The city of Milton prides itself on being an equestrian-friendly community, and in construction of this fence does not offend the spirit of the ordinance, as I will explain in the following paragraphs. As I stated previously, we are a tax-paying working horse farm with gross receipts. We have many types of horses on our property. We have ponies, we have foals. Is everyone familiar with what a foal is?
Yes.
Baby horses. We have colts, we have studs, we have thoroughbreds, we have draft horses. If you're not familiar with a draft horse, it's like a Clydesdale. The different types, we have Irish draft horses, Percherons, we've even had Clydesdales, many of which are very large in size and require specialized care and containment. The young horses require the same. You can imagine having a 1,200-pound puppy. Kind of like having a baby horse. The privacy fence not only serves the main purpose of horse containment, it also blocks out a great deal of road noise, which increases the quality of life for myself and my family, who I might add have been residents of Milton Alpharetta since the late 1700s. It also provides us with added security from break-ins and home invasions, because when my front porch lights are on, the light is reflected off the fence, thus illuminating my entire front yard. If I'm forced to demolish my current fence and install a new one, my loss would be around $10,000. And I'm not anywhere close to being able to afford that. Well, my next priority is to build cross fencing on my northern paddocks in order to keep my horses away from my neighbor's horses, who, by the way, has no fence to contain them. The property the farm is on is owned by my parents, which is approximately 34.6 acres with at least 1,500 feet of road frontage. With my fence in question being only 120 feet long and lying only in front of my house, the only neighbor who may say is impacted by it is across the street behind his own privacy fence. My fence was built 57 feet from the closest point to the center of the road, and its longest distance from the center of the road is 81 feet, with an elevation much higher than the road itself. The health and safety of the public is in no way impacted or impaired by the current fence type, height, or location. If anything, it's reinforced once my gate is installed. Without the current fence, my family's and my horses' quality of life would be much less, and our safety and welfare could potentially be compromised, as well as the public's. If a horse were to break free from their current paddocks to roam freely on the road. In summation, I am requesting a variance be granted because of I wrote negligence, but I want to change that to miscommunication of the planning department. My family's quality of life, safety and security, the safety of my horses, as well as my clients' horses, and the added safety of the public. The size of my fence is important because it would be near impossible for an extremely large and or wild or in training horse, studs, foals, yearlings, to escape the property. Unlike my neighbor, whose horses have escaped his property multiple times to roam the streets until they are rescued, more times than not, by myself and my wife. We pride ourselves in the level of care we offer our clients, and most important, our horses.
Okay. When was the fence built?
Oh, gosh. Hang on a second. And I do have a letter from somebody stating it doesn't bother them at all. Let's see, I was violated on, I'm sorry, I received a violation on 12/2/15. I'm guessing I built it October.
Where are your horses in relation to this fence?
All over.
Well, the fence is open,
Right.
so how are you containing
Does
your
it
horses
tie,
with?
does the fence tie into the left and tie into the right to any other fence?
Well, it was going to. It would have already tied into the left. I would have had gates in the front until I get this.
But how is it containing your horses today?
It's
not-
added security.
For,
My horses.
but how is it added security when it's not containing them?
It is contained
It's open,
because it doesn't have a gate yet.
so that's my point. It can't contain your horses if it doesn't have a gate.
Correct.
Okay.
I think the way we
My
view it
assumption is he was
the
building
whole
the
purpose
fence
of this
and-
Yeah,
fence.
the purpose of this fence, not only can I use my yard as a containment paddock, but if a yearling, if a horse, if a draft horse were to escape its current enclosure, it could run right up the street, right up the driveway onto the road.
We had another case come before us probably, 3-4 months ago? Same type of deal. A guy probably spent $5-10 grand on it, and, unfortunately, he had to take it down. And, the laws, or development standards in the city of Milton are pretty clear. It's unfortunate you didn't get enough information from the city. But, it's one of those, we can't tell this guy 3 months ago, you got to take that out, and then turn around and make an exception for somebody else. That wouldn't be fair. And, I don't know about anybody else up here, but I'm not buying the safety of your horses whatsoever. I don't believe that. I think,
I do.
I do.
Okay.
I've-
Have you ever trained a horse?
Absolutely.
You trained a young horse?
Yes.
Okay.
We raised Morgans as a kid. I lived in Montana for 10 years. I had quarter horses in Montana. I've had draft horses. I had Englishires here. So don't question. Excuse me. We're not buying the fact that you're doing it for safety of horses. You're doing it because you wanted to block the road noise. We get it. We totally understand. I sympathize with you because I run up and down Hopewell every day. I get it. But the bottom line is that the city has adopted ordinances that has asked us to help them.
Do you realize the city also does not even have an ordinance that says you have to contain your horse?
That's not the issue.
That's not the issue. That's not what we're here talking
Well,
about.
that's not what we're discussing. We're discussing the fence.
Let me interject. The house is your house right here, the red one, right?
I can't see that.
The one that's 249 feet wide and 400 feet deep.
There's 2 houses on my property. I guess
I
I
could-
can't see that far. Can I come up?
Yeah. Is that where you live? Is that where the fence is in front of?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So where are the horses? Where you mainly keep them? They are the property next
Can
to
I
it?
come around?
Yeah. Is it this property right here?
This is,
Is that your parents' property? And
my parents is here. That's my driveway. Going up, we share a driveway. That's my farm. I've got 2 paddocks here. To the north is my neighbors.
Okay.
I've got a paddock here. I've got a riding ring here. I've got a training arena. I've got another paddock here.
Where's the fence?
The
It's in front of
fence.
the house.
Right here?
The fence goes from maybe here to here.
Okay.
And I've got another fence here. It's cross fenced here.
Mhm.
I have to cross fence here to keep my neighbor's horses off of my horses.
Okay.
So
Where I'm trying to go with this is that I live on Freemanville, and I feel your pain.
yeah,
I do.
how long you lived there?
Since 2001.
My family's lived in Alpharetta. My family's been in that property since 1905.
Well, that may be, but I feel your pain because I didn't want to change my fence, but yet I got turned in for my fence, and I had to change my fence to fit the compliance. I would prefer to have a privacy fence, not a dog-eared fence, but I'd prefer a solid fence personally. But unfortunately, that is not the rule, and that is not what I can do, and I was made to take it down. What I put up, and
Well, look, I'm
And
not
so-
a millionaire. I'm I'm not even close to being a millionaire.
Neither am I.
It took me years to get the money to build this fence. I'm gonna take this fence, if you're gonna make me take this fence down, it's gonna take me years to get the money to build another fence. What happens in those years if a horse breaks loose, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, runs up the road and hits a car, and then I get charged manslaughter?
Well, that's why a lot of times on a horse farm, you have a double fence
No.
with about an 8-foot gap between them. And that precludes horses from jumping fences.
And
These types of fences are not meant for horse farms.
sure they are.
They're privacy fences. They're not
They are.
intended. Well, if that's the case, then why didn't you build it over there by your barn instead of in front of your house?
I'm cross fencing over by my barn.
Uh-huh.
You know, this fence I built has multiple uses. You know, it does decrease road noise, which improves my quality of life.
You can do that with,
If I built a privacy fence to the north, doesn't block road noise from me. So why can't I kill two birds with one stone?
only because the ordinance doesn't allow for that fence.
Well, don't you think you should have told me that when I asked for permission to build it?
You know, unfortunately, I wasn't the one that was there, and I don't know what was said and what was not said, and I don't get the option of guessing. I mean, the only thing we can really do, quite candidly, is do our best to follow the law, the ordinances that are there, and be respectful in the way that we do it, which is what we are trying to do. You know, we don't gain anything by telling you to take the fence down. You know, we don't gain anything. You're not getting treated any different than anybody else. The ordinance was passed. It was legally passed. That is the ordinance of the city, and it is what it is. And there's not anything we can do to change that ordinance. We are not elected officials that get to vote. Everybody sitting on this board, we're volunteers, and we don't want to get berated because, you know, a fence ordinance. The only thing we're charged with is that we have to comply. And we do our best to educate the public, to show the public, you know, consideration and kindness and all the things that go. And
Well, nobody did that when I asked if I could build a fence.
but I wasn't there. It wasn't part of me. It was. I know, but it's not part of anybody sitting up on this board. The only thing we get to purview, we get to look at, is what is the ordinance? Are we following the ordinance? And what can we do to mitigate the pain for that particular citizen?
And what do you do if your employees screw up?
You know, I guess you would have to take that with city staff. I mean, it's not something that's under. I don't get to criticize or, you know, commend an employee.
Okay, what happens when we enter the Extreme Mustang Millions? You're from Montana, you must be familiar with it.
No, I'm not from Montana.
I'm
He
from
is.
Montana.
You're familiar with it.
Yeah. What is it? The Mustang what?
Extreme Mustang Makeover. Not familiar with it. They require certain fence heights. They require certain fences. They require specific containment. We want to enter this.
But you're bound by the laws in the city which you live.
Right.
So,
How fast?
I mean,
The time to negotiate that would be before you put the fence up, you know. And all I can tell you, man, is I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. I wished I could make it better, and I just can't. You know, and there's nobody sitting up here that can.
Let me ask you this. I tell right now, you're going to deny me this. You're going to make me tear this fence down that I spent $10,000 building.
this is a courtesy.
Just so yeah, we don't vote.
We're just
You
telling
got to go to another. There's a
suggestions.
BZA that comes after this. So
The Board of Zoning Appeals.
Appeals.
Those are the people that decide if they're going to allow a variance or not. What this board does is we just basically look at the look and feel of things and does it look nice? I mean, if you've heard everything that's going on tonight, it's all about the design, and this is the Design Review Board. So we're just here advising you on what we think is probably going to happen.
They make recommendations to the BZA, what we all make the final recommendation. So on most cases in the past, and it's gone through the BZA, almost every one of them, not almost every one of them have been denied, because it's in the rural view shed. So we bring it to the board, and you make your cases on that board, and the board will decide whether or not to allocate the funding.
And to be honest with you, everything you said is touching, but that picture right there refuted just about everything you said about containment of horses.
That's not true.
Because it's open. I'm just telling you, when you go to them, the first thing they see that, and you're talking about that, because you were saying we are using it for containment, but that is not containing.
If I were to be able to put a gate where that's open, it would be used for containment. However, before I was able to put a gate,
He was building the
this is my
fence.
front
He
door.
got the violation. He stopped building the fence. That's
But
what
that
he
fence
said.
has been there for
No, the
months.
fence was up there for
It's
months.
been there.
That's the way I understood it.
I'm just telling you, if you show them that picture and use the same verbiage that you used here, they're going to look at that and they're going to question it just like we did. That's all I'm saying.
It's very difficult, because this is on the rural viewshed,
Yeah.
sensitive.
let me read you a letter.
How far are the posts spread, planted? How far, what is the spread of those posts?
They're between 7 and 8 feet.
Okay. So if you were to take down those face boards and put cross boards in a woven wire fence, it would be a 4-board fence, right?
Not with 4x4 posts.
You can only use like 4x6.
Yeah.
4x6. Let me read you a letter written 2/25/16. To whom it may concern, this is regarding the privacy fence at 13480 Hopewell Road. I travel this road daily, sometimes up to 4 times a day. I have no issue with the fence. In fact, I think it's a good idea to have a fence of this type for security. That of the livestock contained behind it, and the security of the drivers on Hopewell Road. This is a well-built and aesthetically pleasing fence and should not be removed, in my opinion. Beverly,
Just to give you some information, most municipalities that I've worked in as a builder and a developer do not allow dog-eared privacy fences anymore. And the reason we don't allow them is because of the way they age. And they age and they get twisted and they look terrible after a few years. And they still work and they still look. I mean, I can show you lots of fences that are, but
not if you paint them.
okay.
My neighbor.
I don't want to debate it. I mean, what I'm trying to tell you is
I'm not
that.
gonna debate it either. I'm saying you're absolutely wrong. My neighbor across the street has
Okay.
a white fence he paints every 2-3 years. Never.
I just want you to know that the city of Milton is not the only one that does not want dog-eared 6-foot fences.
So what do I do?
That would be up for the BZA to determine. You know, our point would be is that we would not be in favor of a variance unless somebody else on the board has a different opinion.
So what does that mean?
Means you'll have to take it down.
You got to go to the BZA, essentially.
When is that?
March 15th,
What time?
7 o'clock.
Angela, is he already on the agenda, or does he need to? Okay.
15. What are the laws on fencing, 4-board fencing, as far as straightness? Do the boards have to be straight? Can they be crooked?
No, not when they're put up.
No what? No, they don't have to be straight?
They have to be straight when you put them up.
That's not in the code book. What color does it have to be?
It's dark.
Does it be pink? Does it be
Black.
purple?
Black.
It's gotta be black?
Mhm.
It's not in the codes either.
It is in the code.
That's in the code.
Show, please.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome to come up to staff tomorrow and you can discuss it with them. I mean, it's
Just when this fence comes down, it's gonna go back up as the ugliest fence you've ever seen in your entire life.
as long as it meets code, then the
Oh, it
ordinance,
does.
then that's
And it'll be
all
in
we can
your
ask
city
for.
with the horse on the logo, the horse on your letterhead. I see horses everywhere.
Listen, I don't want you to be unhappy. I just can't.
Oh,
I can't
totally
change it.
unhappy. We shot ourselves in the foot when we made Milton a city. Okay, we got horses on police cars. We got horses everywhere. My neighbor has horses. He doesn't have a fence to even contain them. on the road all the time. The rest of you,
I would tell you to turn him into code enforcement.
they don't care. Nobody cares. The city doesn't care. The mayor doesn't care. The city manager doesn't care. The old city manager.
We got a new city manager, so maybe.
You don't care. Police don't care. Police chief, animal control don't care.
Well, I'm sorry.
Agriculture doesn't care.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're calling
We got one more thing on the agenda.
7D. That'd be the reserve at Providence Road, the Providence Road, Georgia Homes. They here?
Actually, Mr. Chair, staff would like to request a deferral in this case as well.
Okey doke. All right, moving on.
I'll make a motion to defer
Oh, that's right.
7D B16-003, the reserve at Providence Road, for a later meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any old business? How about new business?
It's election day.
Super Tuesday.
Super.
What are we electing here?
Chair and vice chair.
So obviously it's Marty, and who's the vice chair?
Laura. Need a nomination.
No, but who? No, I'm just asking currently. I know Marty's the chair. Who's the vice chair?
Laura.
Okay.
I would suggest leaving it the same.
Motion to leave it exactly the same.
All in favor?
First, let's make a motion for the chair.
Chair, please.
So the motion is for,
I make a motion to continue
For Marty
Marty
Lewis.
as the chair of the Design Review Board for 2016.
Of this rain.
favor,
Aye.
Aye.
and a motion for vice chair.
Laura?
I make a motion to nominate or continue with Laura as the vice chair of the Design Review Board for 2016.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We now have.
Congratulations.